Hello, welcome back to Emily A to Z. My name is Emily. My bathroom light is on. Today is my February TBR, so let's jump in. So first off, for the family book club, it is my pick, and I chose Anxious People by Frederick Backman. This is translated fiction. Bing, bong, bing. Yes, translated by Neil Smith. Hello, dogs. So this is all about people. Looking at real estate isn't usually a life or death situation, but an apartment open house becomes just that when a failed bank robber bursts in and takes a group of 8 strangers hostage. Each of them carries a lifetime of grievances, hurts, secrets, and passions that are ready to boil over. None of them is entirely who they appear to be. In short, they are the worst group of hostages in the world. But as the minutes tick by, they begin to suspect that the criminal mastermind holding them hostage might be more in need of rescuing than they are. As the authorities and the media surround the premises, these reluctant allies will reveal surprising truths about themselves and set in motion a chain of events so unexpected that they can hardly explain what happens next. Well, okay. So yes, this is called Anxious People. I own this. I believe my sister-in-law, Rachel, of Rachel's Cozy Corner, got this for me. And this is our pick. I haven't read it, and I'm excited to read it. And there is a TV show on Netflix that my mother-in-law said, what? She found the TV show on Netflix. Anyways, so we're going to read this and then potentially watch the show. I still have not actually finished Little Women, the movie, because I'm great at that. Anyways, the only February release I have written down for horror that I want to read currently is The Lamb by Lucy Rose. I can picture the cover. I will insert the cover. I have no idea what it's about, but I saw it and was like, sure. There's a couple more that are going to come out in February that I'm going to have on my radar. But so far, that one. The other book that I do want to try and read this month that's like a new horror release is Our Winter Monster by Dennis Mahoney. I should get that really soon. That came out right at the end of January, so like January, February. Then for our Read with Pride book club, hosted by my library, we are reading Bathhouse by P.J. Vernon. This says a thriller. I do like this cover, but I'm also very unsettled by this cover. This is Oliver Park, a recovering addict from Indiana, finally has everything he ever wanted: sobriety and a loving partner in Dr. Nathan Klein, a prominent Washington, D.C. trauma surgeon. Despite their difference in age and their disparate backgrounds, they've built an enviable life together. They make the picture-perfect couple. With everything to lose, Oliver shouldn't be visiting House, a gay bathhouse. But through the entrance he goes, and it's a line crossed. Inside, he follows a man into a private room, crossing the final line. Whatever happens next, Nathan can never know. In the seductive anonymity of that room, Oliver's encounter goes terrifyingly wrong, and he barely escapes with his life. Racing home in full-blown terror as the hand-shaped bruise grows dark on his neck, Oliver knows the truth will destroy Nathan and their life together. So Oliver does the thing he used to do so well: he lies. I started this today. I'm already about 25% of the way through, which is, let's see, like about yay big. But he has already gone to the bathhouse and was attacked, and he has lied to his partner and everything like that. We do get, it's mainly from Oliver's perspective, but then we do get a few chapters that are told from Nathan's perspective as well. And so far, I don't know what to think about it because I'm not sure where it's going to go. I'm not sure where it's leading, other than there is a lot of tension. This is very high stakes because he messed up and he lied because he doesn't want Nathan to know that he did something. He was going to go hook up with someone. He was going to cheat, and he doesn't want Nathan to know. So he has concocted this whole story of being like mugged to hide what really happened, and has lied to his partner, has lied to friends, has now lied to the police. So he's getting sucked in deeper and deeper into these lies that he's created for himself. And that's where we're at right now. There's a lot of tension. There was only like something just happened though that I got like angry about and was like, why would you do that? Like, ugh. And now I'm blanking, but I've had a day. Okay, the other book club through my library is the online reading challenge this year, and every month we are tackling a different genre. This month's genre is mystery. Now you can read any mystery that you want. They also have a book of the month that they choose that is like that fits the prompt. And then my library will also give like a list of other mysteries to consider. This is The Lamplighters by Emma Stonex. And this is inspired by a haunting true story, a gorgeous and atmospheric novel about the mysterious disappearance of 3 lighthouse keepers from a remote tower miles from the Cornish coast and the wives who were left behind. It's New Year's Eve, 1972, when a boat pulls up to the Maiden Rock Lighthouse with relief for the keepers. But when the entrance door, locked from the inside, is battered down, the tower is empty. A table is laid for a meal not eaten. The principal keeper's weather log describes a storm raging round the tower, but the skies have been clear, and the clocks have all stopped at 8:45. 2 decades later, the keepers' wives are visited by a writer determined to find the truth about the men's disappearance. Can their secrets ever be recovered from the waves? Why was that so difficult for me to read? I don't know, but it was. This is really, where's the Cornish coast? Does that mean Cornwall? Oh, I feel dumb. And if that is true, again, where is that? Geography, not my strong suit. Next. I should say as well, I will be reading this physically because I own the copy. I am listening to this. I'm going to read this physically. I couldn't get an audiobook, but then I flipped through it anyways, and there's like little snippets of like newspaper clippings, so you know how I like that. So I'll be excited to read this physically, and it seems like it'll go pretty quickly. Next is for Books and Lala's challenges, her buzzword challenges. So for her title challenge, the buzzword are anything that are water words. So she listed a bunch of examples, and also in her Instagram post showed a bunch of books that have water related words into it. So ocean, sea, the deep, I don't know, like stuff like that. Anything that has to do with water. I went quite literally, and I have a book in my Kindle that I've owned for a couple of years now. That was a Amazon Prime's first reads pick called Cold Waters. And I'm gonna read that, and I think that has to do with a crime that was committed. I have my tablet here. Let's see. First book in her Normal Alabama series. Everyone thinks 14-year-old Violet is a murderer. After a summer night swim with her best friend Ainsley, Violet is found confused, wandering in the forest, and Ainsley's never seen again. But without a body, murder charges won't stick, so Violet is sent away. But after more than a decade in a psychiatric ward, Violet returns to her broken-down hometown, that's a mouthful, of Normal, Alabama, to claim her dead mother's inheritance and help her overworked sister care for their unstable alcoholic father. Violet, still haunted by that night 11 years ago, endures horrific flashbacks and twisted hallucinations while townsfolk spit accusations, and for all she knows, they're right. As the summer heats up, details of Ainsley's fate appear like a beast's wild eyes, watching in the darkness, and grim revelations about Violet's family threaten to devour her. Already on the edge of madness, Violet must fight to keep her sanity long enough for the terrible truth to burst from the cold, dark waters. I think I'm struggling to read because I worked, and then I worked out, and I'm like tired, and I really want to shower, and I'm gonna do that as soon as I'm done, but I really need to film this. Anyways, let's see if I can show you the cover. Cold Waters by Debbie Herbert. Okay, then, excuse me, cat. Sorry, he's sitting on my notebook that has all my stuff in it. Then for the other buzzword, this is the buzzword cover challenge. It is to have a skyline on the cover. She also, an Instagram post, posted a bunch of things. This just has to have something on the cover. I am reading this edition of Gone Girl. I was gifted this back in college by a college friend. This is a skyline down along the bottom here. I normally would never own a movie tie-in edition of a book, but this is where we're at. So I have this little bitty paperback version of Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn that I will be, or is it Gillian? Gillian Flynn, right? I should know some of this, but I don't, whatever. But I am reading this. I have started this as well. I started it last night. I read it for about an hour during one of sports practice. I got, about 60 pages in. This edition, because it's short, is over 500 pages. It's over like 550 pages. But this just says, on a warm summer morning in North Carthage, Missouri, it is Nick and Amy Dunn's 5th wedding anniversary. Presents are being wrapped and plans are being made when Nick's clever and beautiful wife disappears. As the police begin to investigate, the town golden boy parades a series of lies, deceits, and inappropriate behavior. Nick is oddly evasive and he's definitely bitter, but is he really a killer? I know nothing about this. I am choosing to come in blind. I have never read it. I have successfully avoided any spoilers for it. I've never watched the film. I have managed to avoid knowing anything about this book, which is why my friend gifted it to me, I believe, was because she was like, you have to read it, kind of thing. And now I am reading it. I will, even if I give this a book a 5-star review, I will not be keeping this particular copy once I finish the book, just because I don't want the movie tie-in. So, and another thing to then watch afterwards. I gotta get on this. Okay. Then, I was like, do I have any other books that have skylines on it? This is technically also a skyline. This is just a for funsy book that I want to read. This is Inside the Mind of Sherlock Holmes, The Case of the Scandalous Ticket. This is a graphic novel from the works of Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This is written by Cyril Hiron and Benoit Dahan. I believe it was originally published in French, in France. But it's a new graphic novel series, and this is Sherlock Holmes fans can sink their teeth into this brand new original tale. A visually stunning treat, every thought and clue that flows through Sherlock Holmes' mind is intricately illustrated, uniquely portraying the inner workings of his mind as he strives to solve the case of the scandalous ticket. The discovery of a mysterious powder and a very special show ticket leads Sherlock Holmes to believe a patient isn't the only victim of a grand conspiracy. Indeed, it seems the strange disappearance of Londoners can be explained by the performances of a Chinese magician. When other tickets are found, the detective's suspicions are confirmed. And this is a little cutout. But I noticed this at work, and the art is stunning. So I grabbed it. And I guess technically that is a skyline in the back. It is the London skyline. Tricky. Okay, then we have the Literally Dead Book Club, also run by Kayla of Books and Lala, and the book for this month is Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, the new Grady Hendrix thriller, mystery, horror, whatever. I am very excited to read this. This just came out in January. There's power in a book. They call them wayward girls, loose girls, girls who grew up too fast, and they're sent to the Wellwood House in St. Augustine, Florida, where unwed mothers are hidden by their families to have their babies in secret, to give them up for adoption, and most important of all, to forget any of it ever happened. 15-year-old Fern arrives at the home in the sweltering summer of 1970, pregnant, frightened, and alone. Under the watchful eye of the stern Miss Wellwood, she meets a dozen other girls in the same predicament. There's Rose, a hippie who insists she's going to find a way to keep her baby and escape to a commune, and Zinnia, a budding musician who plans to marry her baby's father, and Holly, a wisp of girl barely 14, mute and pregnant by no one knows who. Aww. Everything the girls eat, every moment of their waking day, and everything they're allowed to talk about is strictly controlled by the adults who claim they know what's best for them. Then Fern meets a librarian who gives her an occult book about witchcraft, and power is in the hands of the girls for the first time in their lives. but power can destroy as easily as it creates, and it's never given freely. There's always a price to be paid, and it's usually paid in blood. My cat is playing with something. Did you see his paws? Jeez. Interesting already that all of them are plants. They're all named after plants: fern, rose, zinnia, and holly. This is also a chunky book, coming in at nearly 500 pounds. 500 pounds. 500 pages. It is close. This is a big boy. I think I might start this soon because I think it's going to take me a little bit of time. And if I'm being completely honest, I got a little bored with the first like hour of this. I'm not going to DNF it. I'm going to keep reading it. And I don't know if I just was bored because of where I was, like trying to read while my son was doing his thing or what, but here we are. For February in Magical Stitches, this is the Facebook group that I run and own that does cross-stitched books. The book challenges is we are still continuing because we just got started in the series of unfortunate events. It is to read, we read the first half of book 2 in January, so finish The Reptile Room if you haven't already for February, and then read the third book, The Wide Window. I unfortunately don't have those copies with me. I've already returned them. I didn't think about it. But those are the books. Then we have 3 prompts per usual. We also have like a buzzword challenge. We have to have something that has words in the title. For the month of February, you need to have a pronoun in the title. He, she, we, they, them, it. I listed all of them in the actual prompt. The word I chose is we, which is for We Ate the Dark by Mallory Pearson. I actually own a copy of this book, but it is in my Kindle. I own it. So I will read it on my Kindle, but I wanted to have this to show you the cover because it's a little bit easier. And this is a horror novel. Evil takes root 5 years after Sophia Leon disappeared. Her remains are found stuffed into the hollow of a tree, bursting through the floorboards of an abandoned house in the woods. The women who loved her flock home to the North Carolina hills to face their grief. Frankie, Sophia's twin, is in furious mourning. Poppy is heartbroken. Cass has never felt more homesick. And Mariah knows something the rest of them don't. Determined to find Sophia's murderer, they share more than a need to see justice done for their friend. Each woman is haunted, bound to each other by something both cruel and kind, and now stalked by a shadowy presence they've yet to understand. They can only question and fear. As Sophia's secrets unravel, so do those of the woods, and the women soon realize that Sophia might not be who they thought she was at all, and that whoever or whatever killed her is coming after them. Very interesting. Very interesting. Ooh, the chapters have titles. I get so stupid excited about that. But so there's this. This is the library edition. I will be reading the copy I own, which is digital. Then we are in the month of love, so to speak. Your task, if you choose to accept, Kennedy, for this is to listen to a romance audiobook. I kept it very vague. I just want it to be a romance, and I do want you to listen to an audiobook. I think it's fun. I just want this to be included. I am going to be listening to A Dash of Salt and Pepper by Kosoko Jackson. Again, I have just the physical book here to show you, but I will be listening to it. This is about Xavier Reynolds. I like that name. Xavier Reynolds is doing less than stellar. He just got dumped and was passed over for a prestigious fellowship. To top it all off, he's back home in Harper's Cove, Maine, population 9,000. The last thing he wants to do is work as a prep chef in the kitchen of the hip new restaurant in town, The Wharf. Especially since the hot single-father chef who owns it can't delegate to save his life. Logan O'Hare, that's a good name, doesn't understand Xavier or why every word out of his mouth is dipped in sarcasm. Unfortunately, he has no choice but to hire Xavier. He needs more help in the kitchen, and his tween daughter Anne can only mince so many onions. It might be a recipe for disaster, but Logan doesn't have many options besides Xavier. Stuck between a stove and a hot place, Logan and Xavier discover an unexpected connection, but when the heat between them threatens to top the Scoville scale, they'll have to decide if they can make their relationship work or if life has seasoned them too differently. This is a little culinary, cozy romance. I'm very excited. I learned about this last year because I think I had, or a couple years ago, because it was like a prompt with a character that has a beard or like something like that, has facial hair. Ugh. And I feel like I showed it last year when I was like, find a cover that is like lavender. This would also work for a different buzzword because it has food on the cover, but I am reading it as my audiobook because it's been on my TBR. And then the last one for Magical Stitches is to read a book that is told from a detective's point of view. And I have chosen, it's again in my Kindle, I have quite a few ebooks to read this month, so I definitely need to get on that. I have chosen Forgotten Bones by Vivian Bars, or Bartz. I don't know, it has a Z on the end, so I don't know if you would pronounce it kind of like an S and say bars, or if it's like, what language does that, where it becomes like a T? So if it's Vivian Bars or if it's Vivian Bartz, I don't know. But this is this is also the first, I believe, in a trilogy. An unlikely pair teams up to investigate a brutal murder and a haunting thriller that walks the line between reality and impossibility. When small-town police officers discover the grave of a young boy, they're quick to pin the crime on a convicted felon who lives nearby. But when it comes to murder, Officer Susan Marlin never trusts a simple explanation, so she's just getting started. Meanwhile, college professor Eric Evans hallucinates a young boy in overalls, a symptom of his schizophrenia, or so he thinks. But when more bodies turn up, Eric has more visions, and they mirror details of the murder case. As the investigation continues, the police stick with their original conclusion, but Susan's instincts tell her something is off. The higher-ups keep stonewalling her, and the FBI is closing in. Desperate for answers, Susan goes rogue and turns to Eric for help. Together, they take an unorthodox approach to the case. As the evidence keeps getting stranger. With Eric's hallucinations intensifying and the body count rising, can the pair separate truth from illusion long enough to catch a monster? I'll show you the cover again. Forgotten Bones. It has a house. Is that everything? I feel like I'm forgetting something. Oh, and then my Prime, because we are a couple days into Febby already. 1 second. Okay. Thanks. I love you too. I have chosen Name Not Taken by Madeline Henry. This says it's a psychological suspense. Devin Farrell and Richard Belmont are engaged in love and from two different worlds. Devin is as eager to please Richard's elite parents as she is to leave the traumas of her childhood behind. After all, the Belmonts are her family now. But being brought into the fold is unbalancing her. There are the piercing stares from Richard's brother, the confounding whispers about Devin's moods and health. It's as if the Belmonts are looking for reasons to reject her, to fill her with self-doubt and put her on edge. It's working. And no one seems to be on Devin's side, not even Richard. Are the Belmonts right to be concerned about Devin, or are they waging a psychological battle against her? The truth is getting darker because the mind games have just begun. That's the cover. And then there is a bonus book. I think it's a bonus short story, which is The Fall Risk by Abby Jimenez. And this is a cute little... It just says, this is the Mary Poppins of romance stories, practically perfect in every way. So it's just a short little romantic story. I'll try it out. I'll try it. You never know. It's free. Might as well. Well, it's not free. You pay for Prime, but still. So that's that. And then I just have, if I can get to it, I can get to it. I would love to read it. So this is a classic. I have The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. And this has been on my TBR for the longest. This has been on my Goodreads TBR forever. So I thought if I have extra time, I'm just gonna go through. I'm gonna go back and look at books that are super old on my TBR that I still want to read and just slowly pick those off one by one. This is it, and it is an alluring novel of decadence and sin Ooh, that was a success. The Scandale on publication. It follows Dorian Gray, who, enthralled by his own exquisite portrait, exchanges his soul for eternal youth and beauty. Influenced by his friend Lord Henry Wotton, he is drawn into a corrupt double life, indulging his desires in secret while remaining a gentleman in the eyes of polite society. Only his portrait bears the traces of his depravity. This definitive edition includes a selection of contemporary reviews condemning the novel's immorality. Interesting. Edited with an introduction and notes by Robert Mighall. Hey, get your nose out of there. Anyways, I do also have the audiobook of this at my work. It is a physical one on CD that I figured I could listen to if I wanted to. And if I like the way it looks, then, God, there are a bunch of, like, essays. Ooh, whatever. But I have this to read if I can. And that's that. This is longer than I meant it to. I still need to get in the shower. Thanks so much for being here. That's my TBR. It's a lot. My January wrap up will be coming soon. And stay tuned for even more TBR tackle. I'm back. My eyes are good. You'll understand what I mean. There will be another Stitch With Me Whip Wednesday coming up. And I have not forgotten about Stitchy Sunday. I've just been a little busy. And I will also be explaining all of that later too. So thanks for being here. I've already said that. I gotta go. I'm rambling. Be easy with your hearts.